Hey professionals, in this video I'm going to go through 7 of the most common CV mistakes that I see that are actually destroying your chances to land that callback or second interview. Being a tech recruiter and a career coach, I go through hundreds of CVs on a monthly basis. Yep, that's absolutely right, 100 CVs. And I've seen it all from really good and well detailed CVs to poor CVs. So from my experience, I can distinguish between a well written CV that clearly demonstrates your skills and experience to those that just end up in the rejection pile. So not only will I be pointing out the 7 most common mistakes, but I'll actually be teaching you to how to actually fix those mistakes. If you're new to this channel, then let me know. I make videos about CV advice, career advice, university, apprenticeship videos, just helping you be career savvy at whatever stage you're at in your career. I have tons of fresh content on the way, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. First mistake that I see candidates making is that they're not actually tailoring their CV to the role that they're applying for. If you've never written a CV before, then I would recommend, before you even start writing your CV, to actually research the type of jobs that you actually want to apply for. This will help you understand the skills and the qualifications that are required to do that job. And most importantly, what are the day-to-day requirements? This will help you fill out that blank canvas to actually reflect the skills and experience that is required to do that job on your CV. So when that recruiter or hiring manager is reading that CV and they can see the duties that you've done and it clearly matches what they're looking for, they'll be sure to not put your CV in that rejection pile. You want to make sure that your CV is clearly solving that problem that they're displaying in that job advert. I do provide a full CV rewrite service where we can have a one-to-one session where I'll actually go through your CV and I'll be able to highlight what you'll need to do in order to improve that CV. If you do want to get in touch about that service, then head over to my Instagram or on my website, inquire, and yeah, let's work together. What's great about this service is that if you even have a position in mind that you want to apply to, then we can definitely work together to tailor your CV to that position that you want to apply to. Remember, if you match at least 75% of the job spec, then you can definitely apply to that role. A job spec is just a wish list. Okay, the second CV mistake that I often see is that your CV is just hard to read and it's not digestible. This is mainly due to poor formatting. Did you know recruiters and hiring managers tend to spend around 7 seconds looking at a CV for them to actually make a decision, or shall I read on? As a recruiter, I manage many roles within tech and my inbox gets full with CVs that I have to sift through every day. If I can't digest the information that you've put on your CV quickly and I can't identify why you'd be a right fit for this position, or even worth me actually jumping on an interview with you, then yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be sending you that rejection email. To ensure that your CV is easy to read, you need to have clear sections that really divide your CV up. Make sure you're utilizing spaces and breaks effectively. The text of your CV shouldn't be massive paragraphs. They should be short, concise, sharp bullet points, just displaying your achievements to the role. Don't forget, you've got 6 seconds for me to really scan and identify if you've got the right skills, experience, and qualification for the role. So if you're reading your CV and it's all over the place, then here are the clear sections that you should be adding into your CV. Disclaimer, this isn't in any particular order because the order will change as you go through your career. Every CV should have a summary section, an education section, a experience section. Maybe they've divided their experience section into relevant work experience to other work experience. You could have a certificates and achievements section. If you're going for a technical role, you could have a technical skills section. You could have a section just based on projects that you worked on, like personal projects. And you can also have a section on interests and hobbies. You don't need a references are available on request section, or even a list of references, because no one's going to be reading these references or actually acting upon these references. References are only used when you get to that offer stage and they present you with an offer and they're going through the background checks. Yep, that's good that you're supplying references and they are available at request, but that should just be mandatory anyway. All employers know this, so you don't need to add this onto your CV. You're just wasting valuable space. Make sure you're using bold headings when you are breaking up these sections and that your dates are consistently formatted. During your employment history, make sure you add the most recent employment in first, almost like you're going back in time as you're reading through your experience. Make sure you're writing concise paragraphs and you're using bullet points, and you're starting each of these bullet points with action words. If you need help, making your CV stand out, I've got 2 videos that I'll list on the screen and I'll put their links in the description. You also need to make sure you're using easy to read font. So I believe Calibri, that's the best font. Just use that font. Oh, and the font size should be around 11 for like normal reading. Don't have your font size like 7 or 8 because that's just too small. I haven't got time to just like really read your CV. I just need to have a look. Okay, look at the clear sections, what you'll be doing in each section, your degree, your experience, your qualifications, and then that is where I'll be able to put you in that shortlist pile. The third CV mistake that I commonly see is that you have an unprofessional call to action. A call to action is the details that you provide to let the recruiter know how to actually get in touch with you. So if you haven't even put your number or your email address on your CV, then how are you expecting me to actually contact you? Like, how can I call you? Your CV is the first impression that recruiter, hiring manager, director, CEO may even read. So if you have like a wacky or just a unprofessional email address, then you better change that. Like my first email address, which is really embarrassing, savvyboy_is_cool@hotmail.co.uk. Like I don't know why I made that. If you are gonna plan to just email that email address, go for it because it got like hacked at one point. I think it got hacked before I even went to like secondary school, so I don't know what's going on with that email address. Having an unprofessional email address will affect your credibility for the position that you're applying to. Having savvyboy_is_cool with a K@hotmail.co.uk is just unprofessional. Don't do it. Change your email address. I would even recommend having either your first name and maybe an initial at whatever.co.uk, Gmail, Hotmail, Live, MSN, whatever you use, or you can have your first initial and your surname at .co.uk or .com. So how you should lay out your contact information or your call to action is your name at the top, and then you've got your number, and then you've got your email address, and then you've got your location or where you're based. Underneath that or next to that, if you've got space, you can even add in your LinkedIn profile URL. As well as if you're going for a tech role, then why not include your GitHub profile or your Stack Overflow profile if you have one. When you're adding in your LinkedIn profile on top of your CV, to make it look cleaner, don't just copy and paste your URL from your LinkedIn. Type out LinkedIn and then just hyperlink it to the URL. Okay, the fourth CV mistake that I commonly see is that your CV is just boring to read because it's just listing out responsibilities. You're not adding in any metrics that really show off your impact in your current and previous roles. What I mean by this is that you need to convert task-orientated statements to detailed-orientated statements. So don't just say you did a presentation on this topic. Say that you delivered a 4-minute presentation on public speaking. Yeah, that's so much better than just saying delivered a presentation on public speaking. Mention and provide in detail how long was the presentation, what was the impact of that presentation, how many people did you present that presentation to, how many words was your dissertation. These little metrics do make a difference. If you're applying to graduate schemes, then trust me, there'll be multiple stages where you need to actually really stand out, so adding specific quantities will improve your chances drastically to showing them what value you can provide, as well as highlighting accomplishments. If you're listing out responsibilities, you're not actually providing any value of what you've done previously. I'm not going to talk further on this because I have done a whole video, as I mentioned previously, on how to actually add metrics onto your resume or CV. So link is in the description. Check out that full video. Okay, the fifth CV mistake that I constantly see is that your CV isn't beating the ATS. The reason why it's not beating the ATS is that you probably have columns or tables in your CV, and this is actually a huge mistake. Let's say you have columns in your CV, so you have your profile and education section on one side of the CV, and then on the other side of the CV you've got your interests, hobbies, and your experience. If I'm reading through that CV and I'm only going to be spending 6 seconds on this CV, usually I'd be reading left to right, but I wouldn't even know where to look at this CV. So visually, it's just making it a little bit harder for me to read. Not only are you making it harder for me to read, but you're actually making the applicant tracking systems that are passing this information into our own databases harder. Let me explain to you what an ATS is. An applicant tracking system, aka an ATS, is a database that us recruiters use and hiring managers that can filter through job applications and candidates that may apply to the roles that we advertise. Nearly all the Fortune 500 companies use one. I use one every day. It's the main thing that I use on a regular basis, as well as LinkedIn. This is because an ATS actually makes our lives a lot easier. We can even set specific parameters or questions whilst you're applying to the role. If you don't meet those parameters or you don't answer those questions correctly in a way that we want you to answer those questions, you'll just get an auto rejection email and your CV won't even be seen by a recruiter or a hiring manager. Okay, look, I'm gonna give you some inside gossip. When you actually apply to the role, I can use an ATS 3 different ways. The first way is that I'll be able to view your profile at a glance. I'll be able to use our rankings function to actually see how closely your resume matches the job spec. And I can actually use Boolean searches through our ATS to look at candidates who have previously applied. And I can use Boolean searches to find keywords in your resume. An ATS is a very clever database, so when you actually apply to that role, it will pass your information into clear sections for me to see. If you've got different columns, say your profile section, it will probably get the information from your profile section and probably pass in information from your other sections into that section. If the information is getting passed through the ATS incorrectly, then I'm gonna have a hard time reading that information. Trust me, you're better off not including any tables and columns. Okay, the 6th CV mistake that I constantly see is that you're adding in too many CV cliches. What I mean by CV cliches is just typical skills that everyone uses on their CV. You're not actually demonstrating any evidence. The sentences that I'm referring to is that I'm a hard worker, I'm a strong communicator. Without any evidence, you're not providing me with any assurance that you are a hard worker or that you're a strong communicator. As these are overly used, and trust me, they are overly used, as I mentioned, I read through a lot of CVs on a weekly basis, and you're not differentiating yourself to the next CV that I read. So when I'm actually reading these CVs, I'll just generally disregard these words, and I feel like you're even better off not including these words unless you're going to back it up with evidence. I'd rather you actually read the job spec and put in valuable hard skills and soft skills that qualifies you for the role than just saying, yeah, I'm a strong communicator, I'm a hard worker, I'm dependable. So like, instead of just writing you're a team player, why don't you write something that actually implies you're a team player? So as an example, why don't you say, working within a team of 5 lab analysts, we are responsible for synthesizing 5 liters of organic compound every day. Not only does this show that you're a team player, it also shows your goals for the day and specific knowledge within the chemistry field that might actually be perfect for the role that I'm actually hiring for. Another quick thing that I want to mention is that if you have like a skills chart or a bar chart or the stars where you're ranking your skills out of 5 or out of 10, yeah, this is actually meaningless to recruiters as we see this. Just cut this out. These won't have any impact on your application, and as a recruiter reading these, they generally don't really understand what are you measuring these stars against. You really don't need to overcomplicate your CV to get hired. Just make sure you're demonstrating your skills, experience, and it's really easy to read and it's digestible. The final CV mistake that I constantly see is that your CV is actually too long. As a recruiter, viewing applicants is just a small part of my day. I'm doing a lot of things during that day. I don't want to be spending half an hour, 45 minutes reviewing all the applicants because their CVs are like 4, 5, 6 pages long, detailing all their skills and experience. Like, one reason that I love working within recruitment is that no 2 days are the same and I'm always busy doing other things, but if I'm spending an hour or an hour and a half just going through applications, that's just boring, that's crazy. So as we receive many applications to review on a regular basis and we're busy doing other stuff, scheduling interviews, handling offers, speaking to candidates, speaking to hiring managers, opening up new roles, this is one of the reasons why we're only spending a few seconds to actually view your CV. Not only is our time precious, but if your CV is actually longer than 3 pages, this is actually a red flag in our eyes. I know it can be frustrating as you may have a lot of information that you do want to put on, but I'm telling you, 2 pages is enough to really highlight your skills, experience, and qualifications to the role. Your CV is only there to land that first impression and to get your foot in the door for that interview. You're not supposed to put everything onto your CV. Save some for the interview. What if they ask you in the interview, tell me something that's not in your CV? Then what are you gonna do? Your CV is 4 pages long. So the best way I actually approach this is having 2 versions of your CV. Have a master CV, so that has all your skills, experiences, key achievements that you've done in every single role, and then that could be 4 or 5 pages long. But the CV that you're going to send to that employer that you're actually going to tailor, that's going to be 2 pages long, and you're going to take bits out of that master CV and put it into that CV that you're going to tailor for that position. I'm telling you, 2 pages is enough for your CV to be skim read quickly. Skim read, I don't know if that's a word. As well as it's more than enough for you to actually demonstrate your skills and experience. If you don't have much experience and you want to put it on 1 page, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you're packing a punch. As I mentioned, quantify your skills and experience to the role. I know for a fact there are other CV mistakes that I haven't covered, and I'll probably have to do a part 2, but if there's anything that's sprung to your mind, please drop them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. Of course, drop a like on this video if you found any of these tips useful, and hopefully I've helped you fix these mistakes if you've made them on your CV. Don't forget to check out my TikTok and my Instagram. I post digestible short videos daily, actually, to really help you be career savvy. I do go on live on TikTok, so if you do follow me on TikTok and you see me on live, jump in and ask me a question. I'm more than happy to answer that question. If you need help making your CV stand out and be professional, then head over to my website, inquire, and we can work together on a one-to-one session. If you want to see all the clients I've helped in the past and their reviews, check out my IG. I've got a reviews highlights tab, I want to say. Yeah, you'll be able to see all the reviews there. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss out on weekly videos. Peace and good luck applying to that position. I'll see you on the next one.